Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and we're in luck because we're on the K-State campus and we're talking to two great extension specialists, Dr. AJ Sharda, he is our ag engineer, and Terry Griffith, our cropping systems economist. I think you're going to want to hear what they have to say about yield monitors, so we'll be back after these words from our sponsors. See you in a minute.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. And let's first talk with AJ Sharda. AJ, thanks for being with us. And Terry, you too, I'll get to you in a second. But let's talk a little bit about the history of yield monitors and where we were and where we are now. So take it away.
Thank you, Jim, again. Well, the whole concept of yield monitors started in terms of farmers trying to understand what is the value of their land in terms of productivity and profitability aspect of it. The general concept was that I am putting a uniform application of seed, fertilizer, and pesticide, and I was expecting a uniform yield as well from every inch or every meter square of my field. Now that is not the case.
That's not realistic.
That is not a realistic case. We have a lot of variability, which can be due to many reasons, a historic aspect of how the farm has been, the aspect of soil types, the elevation, the topography, and all that aspect. So right around 2000, late 90s and 2000 is where the GPS technology came in, which could actually tell us where I am on my field. That is when people try to kind of use the technology called yield monitors. The concept was that can we understand or can we document the yield in terms of different areas in my field. I don't want to put it aside. Specific yield is a difficult thing or an absurd thing to say, but what I want to know is what are my high yielding areas, what are my low yielding areas. And then if I have that information in front of me, I can start to sit down, I can do some soil analysis, I can look at the drainage aspect, I can talk about the nutrient in my soil or the management aspect of it. I can start to understand what needs to be done so that I can keep my high yielding areas performing consistently better. But at the same time, I can raise the productivity and the yields on some of my low yielding areas.
Right, and not only productivity, but the economics of those poor sites. You may not want to put on as much nitrogen or fertility in those low yield areas because they won't respond.
Absolutely.
So you can then
absolutely
be a little bit more efficient.
Right. This is one of the biggest thing because there are a couple of things. We are moving in time in terms of those farm operations getting bigger and bigger. We have less number of people who are operating those farms. We need a lot of information in terms of how my fields are doing so that I can make a very informed decision in terms of input management. The cost of seed has gone up, the cost of fertilizer has gone up, and so does the pesticide and herbicide aspect of it. But the thing is that I really want to understand what the needs of my field are. At the same time, I don't want to over apply some of the things because some of the things can be out of my field, impacting the environment, and which is my money leaving the field part of it.
Okay, AJ, we got to take a break, so stay with us, folks. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. See you in a minute.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego is driven by the spirit of American ingenuity. Come in for a new Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. If we don't have exactly what you want, we'll find it for you. And we also have a great selection of used cars. We make sure you have an easy, fun, and transparent sales experience that saves you time and money. But if you want high-pressure salesmen and hours spent in the finance office, you'll just have to go elsewhere. Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're making car buying great again.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. And with us we have AJ Sharda and Terry Griffin, and we're talking about yield monitors. So AJ, you get a combine, has that yield monitor on it, and you go out to the field and start cutting. There's more to it than that, right? You've got to set it up. There's some calculations or calibrations that you have to do.
Right. And then, I would like to talk a little bit about how, if somebody has a combine, there are certain aspects, there are certain sensors which are helping the producer in terms of documenting the right data for him.
Getting good data.
Getting good data, yep. There are 2 or 3 components which are very critical for us. One component is the aspect of the sensor, which is measuring the grain flow rate. Okay. How much grain has flown into my grain bin every certain unit of time, say 1 second, 2 seconds, or whatever the time may be. Apart from that, there are other aspects which we need to set it right. There is the ground speed sensor. Mostly the speed is coming from my GPS receiver. I already have my header width input into my monitor. So now my combine, my brain, my monitor knows, or my controller knows that how much distance I have traveled per second. It multiplies by my header width and calculates the area I have harvested, and then it goes back and look at the amount of grain which has hit the sensor into the bin to calculate the amount of bushels harvested per acre.
Or in that area, then
In
you total, eventually
right.
get acres.
Right. So it calculates in that manner, but it displays in the fashion in terms of bushels per acre harvested from that area.
Right. And you also have to put in, I didn't realize this, you have to put in the time it takes from the grain enters the combine to the time it hits.
Absolutely.
So you have to, so what is an average time? 5 seconds?
Well, it's a little more than that. Well, if you would sit in the combine, you can very easily see what happens. And the whole aspect is when you start to get into the headland, start harvesting, grain has to move all the way from the header into the threshing cylinder in the cleaning aspect, through the auger, back to the bin, back to the grain bin. That is where it starts to sense. So when you get into the headland and start harvesting, the delays are in the range of 12 to 14 seconds. The same thing happens when you exit out of the headland, because my cleaning system and harvesting system is full of grains. It's going to still keep doing the whole aspect. So even if I have gone out of my harvesting zone, it's going to still keep dumping the grain in the grain bin for the next 6 to 8 seconds aspect of it. I also want to talk about a couple of other things. The moisture sensor, which also has an inbuilt temperature sensor, is one of the very important aspects in calculating the yield in terms of bushels to be marketable. So we have to have that sensor clean and calibrated so that we can document the data in a right manner.
Okay. Thanks, AJ. Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. See you in a second.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We're having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, and with us we have AJ Sharda and Terry Griffith. And now it's Terry's turn to talk to us a little bit about what do we do with that data, because it's I wouldn't say it's real clean. It's not as clean as the grain going into the bin.
No.
So you got to do a little
It's messy.
messy data.
Yield monitor data is messy data. So AJ was just talking about how to set up the combine for collecting grain and good data in the field. Well, even if that's set up properly, we've got a lot of errors that we need to address. And that is that the yield monitor can only collect good data under a certain range, in the range that it was calibrated for. And if anyone's ever looked at yield monitor data, you've probably seen some jagged edges around some features in the field. And one way of looking at this is, I say it's out of focus. And we need to change the flow delay. You know, we're just talking about the 12 to 14 seconds on average that takes grain from being at the head to the plate to be measured. Well, that's usually off a little bit, and we need to adjust that flow delay setting is the primary thing we need to do. There's some other things too that we need to worry about, but all these things are really important because my research shows that about 70% of the time when we're doing an on-farm experiment, that if we do not clean the yield monitor data, we'll arrive at a different conclusion or different production farm management decision between cleaned and uncleaned data.
So that's when you run into the situation where they say no data is better than bad data.
I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah.
You know, we come to the wrong conclusion, make the wrong decision based upon data.
Okay, so when you talk about clean the data, what do you exactly mean? It's not like cleaning grain.
No, and we're not modifying the data to arrive at a predetermined conclusion, but what we're wanting to do is relocate observations to where they're supposed to be. We can do that with the flow delay setting. But there's about a fourth of the yield monitor data points are measured erroneously, or they're recorded under situations where the combine and yield monitor cannot make accurate measurements. So we're not saying this yield monitor data point is low or high and we're getting rid of it. That's not the philosophy we're using. We're using the philosophy of we're trying to detect points that were measured when the machine could not make accurate measurements, such as speeding up or slowing down, or too fast, being driven too fast or driven too slow, and those types of decisions.
Okay, hang on here a second. Okay, excuse me here. Let me start this. Okay, AJ.
So, Terry has brought up a really good point. When you're in the field, you're really, kind of required, recommended or required to drive the combine at a certain speed, because that is the ideal. It's not about the ideal speed as well, but you want a constant flow, a uniform flow of grain into the grain bin, so that you can make a better estimation of yield in the field. When you really speed up or slow down, those sudden changes in the speed is where some of those erroneous points come onto the data part.
Well, so what do you do with those data points?
So we can detect when the machine is speeding up or slowing down too quickly. We get rid of them. We omit them from any further analysis. We flag them and delete them from that data set before we use this for farm management decision making.
And we're not talking about a whole lot. I guess you said 25%, but just a few seconds at a time, basically.
Yeah, these are very localized, so it's not like chunks of data in any part of the field. So most yield monitor data has 50,000 observations. When we clean it, we may lose 10,000, 15,000 observations, and we still have a lot.
We got to take a break. Folks, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsor.
We do business with Blueville because of the quality of their work. It is excellent quality, and because they make a commitment to their customers.
We enjoy the benefits of hiring a good company to help us maintain this home.
We will always do business with Blueville. We have for many, many years, and there's no reason for us to look for any other service.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, and with us we have A.J. Sharda and Terry Griffith. And Terry, let's continue that post-harvest cleansing of the data.
Sure.
Let's talk about what to do with the data.
Sure. Well, so once we have yield monitor data, especially if we have multiple years of data, it's time to look at multi-year yield analysis. We're looking for areas of stable highs, stable lows, areas of unstable yield that may have high yielding areas some years and some years be low yielding areas, or especially when it's like
that makes you scratch your head.
That we can make some very complicated models really quickly, and that's sort of the big barrier with precision ag data right now is, it's not intuitive on how to use it. It doesn't make life better. It gives you more opportunity if you're ready to make those hard management decisions. So one of the most common uses of a yield monitor is to conduct on-farm experiments. We have some statistics to back this up, and we want to make a good point that it's really important to have clean data, because my research shows that about 70% of the time, if you have an on-farm experiment and you don't clean the data, you'll arrive at a different farm management production decision than if you had cleaned that data.
Right.
And that could lead to some, the idea of no data is better than bad data.
Okay, so AJ?
Well, Terry has brought up, a great point about doing on-farm experiment. I would say, apart from that, some of the large producers who are collecting multi-year yield data, they are getting better and better in terms of understanding the performance of their farms and where are some of the more productive, more consistently productive areas versus others. And they have been able to manage some of the areas which were not doing better over the years. Mm-hmm. There has been few areas which are not manageable. So there are aspects which can be managed, and there are aspects which cannot be managed, but they have really driven the aspect of input management, the aspect of variable rate seeding. We talk about how can we maximize the yield aspect of it. So people have started to go the route of variable rate seeding, to go the route of variable rate nutrient management.
Right. And
all this is driven by the cost and profit aspect, which Terry talks about all the time, that it's all about bottom line. So those things are very, very critical. And I also want to bring back another point which Terry talks about in terms of the data part of it. Is a lot of farmers ask us a question that can I use a scale ticket to clean or to remove the errors, or if I haven't calibrated my combine, can I use that data to fix it? And our answer unanimously is no.
Well, I wouldn't think so. You've got this high-tech information here. Let's use it.
Right. There's a myth that says if my yield monitor data averages are the same or close to my scale tickets, it must mean that my yield monitor data is good.
I wouldn't think that's correct.
It's not correct.
Hang on here. We got to take a break, so folks, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply. person who's involved in ag production and cattle ranching, Bill Rischel here in North Platte, told me about Kansas Regenerative Medicine. And after talking to Dr. Pope, we did a lot of reading and researching, looking on the internet about it. I guess the thing that impressed me is that he told me, he said, if we don't think it's going to help you, we're not going to do it. I thought that was a very good approach. I'm a former athlete, played college basketball, played overseas after college, had some severe trauma on the right ankle, right knee, joint in my hand also. This brace is what I had to wear all the time. Now I don't wear this during the day. That's a real improvement for me. My knee doesn't bother me. This joint came around quick. It was the first thing I noticed improving. You can see in the background here there's different fish and game that I hunt. The ability to walk was impacting my outdoor endeavors. I think it's really valuable, and encourage anybody that's interested to go down and at least do a consultation with them.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. AJ and Terry haven't run off during that last break. So, AJ, tell me, how can farmers use this data? I mean, they're collecting it. They've collected it for years. How can they get the biggest bang for their buck out of this data?
The first and foremost is that they have to collect good quality data. Everything starts with making sure your yield monitor and all those components associated with this are perfectly in line in terms of calibration. Your yield monitor, impact plate is calibrated, your speed, aspect is calibrated, your moisture sensor is calibrated, and you have a good GPS receiver on top of it, so that you are collecting good quality data, which can be then utilized to do the magic in terms of software, which probably Terry can.
The magic in that software.
And there's a lot of magic.
Right.
So producers have a lot of options when it comes to software, and they're traditionally been desktop or laptop installed software, but now there's also cloud-based systems as well. Lots of opportunity there. And the big question between the two is, it's a matter of trust. When a farmer wants to keep their data locally and in control of it, then, on a laptop with a locally installed software is sort of the answer.
Not the cloud.
Not the cloud. But for those farmers who do have trust in the systems and in their trusted advisors, then the cloud-based systems offer a lot of advanced opportunities, which, you get a lot of benefit from. And that kind of leads to the next point, that the elephant in the room is data ownership. And this is a question that we're addressing pretty often, and it's not one that's been resolved in the industry. There's a lot of legal aspects of it and economic aspects of data ownership, and the fact is our current laws have not kept track with the technology.
But you would have to say that we're a long ways from all the producers utilizing that data.
Sure. And there's a lot of opportunity to use data. There's also some dependence that a farmer gives up when they start sharing data from their production and their acreage in the community, or even with trusted advisors. And so this is sort of a barrier in the industry right now, because it's not easy. Automated guidance sort of made life a little bit easier, not as tired at the end of the day. Yield monitors cannot say that. Adding data to an operation doesn't make the operation run smoother if the manager, the farmer, is not ready to make use of that data.
Right, not using it.
Exactly.
Right. So. Folks, thanks for being with us on this episode of That's My Farm. Don't forget, about the same time next week, we'll have another one. See you then.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.